Sandwich Heads, back with another amazing Share Your Experience interview for our awesome reality sandwich community. I'm joined by a very special guest today, the founder of Bizdelics and Psilocybin San Francisco, joined by the wonderful Milica Mandich. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invite.
Yeah, of course. Just want to thank you, for those who haven't seen Bizdelics and has released an epic psychedelic industry ecosystem list. It's an awesome database. If you're looking to educate yourself about who's the true players out there in the psychedelic industry and community, please take a look at that. And yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I as you said, I invite everybody to go check it out. Not only if you are not familiar with the psychedelic industry, but if you are in the industry and you would like to know more about specific categories like therapeutic services or investments or companies or companies to become psychedelic by our predictions. And our database will become a 3,000 entries soon and the biggest psychedelic list out there. So yeah, I invite you all to check it out. You will find something for you for sure.
So I'm super curious, I'd love to hear more about your background and how did you really want to get into the psychedelic industry and space, and how did we get on that journey?
So the journey actually started 10 years ago when I had my first psychedelic experience. I started with cannabis way before, but a true psychedelic experience was mushrooms 10 plus years ago. And of course, as many of us, I was fascinated with what they do with your mind, what they allow you to explore subconsciousness and consciousness and just spread your views on society and your life. So I was just fascinated by what they do. And then back then I was a small kid and I did it recreationally, and I didn't think much of it. I did it without any prior knowledge, without educating myself. I would not recommend to anybody. Not that I have had bad experiences, but it's always better to educate yourself before going on a psychedelic journey, as we all know by now. So yeah, I started 10 years ago, but back then I was still trying to find my career. I was living in Serbia. I climbed my corporate ladder up to Microsoft, and then I said, okay, I can actually do this by myself and just charge other companies. I started a company. It was like a project management, event management company, and I built it for 7 years. I sold it during COVID. But after third year having my own company, I already realized that that's not for me. But when something brings you money, you're like, I need to live out of something, and this is pretty established by now, and you just continue into these loops. So yeah, I decided to just stay there. And during COVID, actually just before COVID, I moved to San Francisco, and that made me question many things. That made me open up my views on, okay, let me rethink my career as well. And I sold my company and decided to dedicate my time to the things that I really, really my heart and soul wants to contribute to, and that was psychedelics. Because when I asked myself, what is the next thing for you? The question arose, what is the thing that you talk about all the time with your friend when nobody is like paying you to do it? What is the thing that you talk about? And it was psychedelics. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's just leave everything and start on this journey. This is how I founded Psilocybin San Francisco. It was founded 3 years ago. It's an educational platform that educates general public about psilocybin use and harm reduction. We organize conferences once per year, other smaller events. We have courses on psilocybin A to Z, microdosing mushrooms, and many other we have a wealth of educational free educational materials as well. And after that, I decided to contribute something to the psychedelic industry, specifically not only general public. That's how I came to the idea to start Bizdelics and just create something that would be meaningful for the many working in the psychedelic industry. And since I already had this database of around 400 entries, I decided to offer that to everybody free of charge as a resource. People loved it. They gathered around it. 4,200 people viewed the list in 2 weeks, and I was astonished. I expect people to like it, but it was really it was a really thing that people reacted to the most. And I said, okay, let's continue this. People donated their databases, and now it will become a 3,000 entries list. So yeah, here I am today, just trying to contribute as much as I can. Next to the list, actually, because the list was a bit dry, it was only names. I decided to start a podcast called Psychedelic Pillow Talk, where I interview people from the psychedelic industry, showcasing the human side of them. I wanted to show who are these people who are building the future of psychedelic ecosystem and wants an industry to become, because now I don't call it an industry because there is no money flowing in a legal way. So yeah.
Well put. And us at Reality Sandwich have super enjoyed the education you're putting out, and obviously highlight you as a true psychedelic thought leader for the community.
Thank you.
Something that intrigued me. How long did you live in Serbia before moving to the U.S.?
Just one note. I cannot see you. Is that intentional?
Yeah, I turned on low data mode. Is that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All good.
Anyways, so I lived in Serbia for 29 years, basically since since I was born. But the thing is, when I was 20 something, I started traveling on my own when I was 20, actually. And I traveled 70 countries, 70, with the backpack and without the plan. I was traveling 3 months. I just so the way I traveled, I buy one-way ticket to Indonesia and I figure it out. So these, somehow, before even starting on a psychedelic journey, I was seeking this true freedom, by putting myself into situations that they don't have the ending, I didn't know where I'm going to be, with whom I'm going to spend time with next. So, for example, one time I was in Thailand in a hostel in Bangkok, and a girl came and told me, "Hi, oh yeah, I just came back from a meditation retreat in Thailand, like in the north of Thailand." I'm like, "Where is it? Give me a address, and I'm gonna go." And I just packed my things and I went. That instant. I didn't even research it. No, she just gave me the address. I'm like, I'm gone. And next moment I'm in a bus station sitting like, when is the next bus to go here? So the things like that provided me like a glimpse of freedom that I was searching for. Oh, I love that. What is that?
That's awesome.
Something happened. Yeah. So it provided me with a glimpse of freedom that that psychedelic just amplified later, And I was searching for this freedom of existence. I was seeking it, and once I got it through psychedelics, I didn't stop traveling, though. I continued, but it just amplified the whole experience of being free.
I asked just because, obviously San Francisco has really embraced psychedelic culture, and some could say the scene even started there, back on Haight-Ashbury and all that. But I'm a big history buff. I'm familiar with the history of Serbia, a lot of generational trauma there. I think people would totally benefit from psychedelics. Just curious, what the culture is like there around psychedelics, and how you're educating Serbian people about
I don't
healing and the medicine.
Yeah. I don't want to exaggerate when I say this, but this is my personal opinion. That's why this is like a podcast. We talk about my opinions, not like general states of things. So I just want to put a fence there. So my opinion is that, and my point of view is, whenever I start talking openly about my psychedelic usage, I've been seen as a drug addict. I'm not even exaggerating, like I'm a druggie. They don't even understand what it is, but they give themselves permission to judge. And this is like, as you said, we have so much trauma over there that we don't even have time to think about psychedelics or benefits of it. We're just in our own suffering. I mean, that thing alone gave us a lot of great things, though. We have we're very resourceful people. We if you would put me anywhere on planet Earth, literally anywhere, I would manage my ways, and I'm not even afraid of like losing all the money. I will regain it. Like, it's like the most important thing is I'm alive. When you grow up in an environment that's like triggering and stress inducing, you just learn how to work in a high stress environment. And for the first time in my life, I realized what living without stress means when I came to SF, by the way. And what does it mean to calm your nervous system? I didn't know that before. First time I lived it here, it's like, wow, this is possible. So yeah, it's not, the state of psychedelics is not good. It's changing though within the small group of people, but that's not meaningful when you compare it to like how many people are out there. And it's not only Serbia, it's like Balkan in general,
Yeah.
But hopefully things will change. Currently, I have, so for psilocybin SF, I have an employee now from Serbia that worked in my previous company. And she asked me a question. Oh, when are we going to organize a conference here in Serbia? And I was like, wait, like, organize a conference about mushrooms in Serbia? Are you sure you want to do that? Sometimes I'm even afraid when I go back to my mom's, are they going to stop me in the airport because I talk openly about, I'm out of the closet, psychedelic closet now, and they can like easily flag you. Every time I go to Serbia, I'm like, it is going to be this time. So yeah, I will eventually try to do something about education there, but currently I don't have the capacity to do it. When there is more finances, I think I'm gonna just invest something. But for now, just trying to stay afloat and contribute to the global audience. Every time,
Beautifully put. I appreciate you again.
Every
Providing
time-
the education and you're spearheading the way for people to break the stigma there.
Thank you. But by the way, people listen to my podcast. I've had a few comments of people coming, oh, thank you very much. This is so insightful. This is great. How can I join? So yeah, there are people who are receptive, but I'm talking about like the general audience. It's like, yeah. Every time
when talking about calming your nervous system and getting that stress reset, was it a psilocybin medicine ceremony that really unlocked that for you, or what was your psychedelic medicine journey, or one experience that really felt set you on this path and kind of started the healing journey?
Every time. So the thing is, every time, at least for me, calming my nervous system actually didn't come from psychedelics. It came from my environment. Because whenever I would do psychedelics in Serbia, I would be calm for a certain period of time, but then I'm back in this environment. And no matter how much you integrate, you're there. And how I like to put it, it's like you are in a soup of emotions. We are all in each other's business. Everybody has the right to comment on your things, and every time, no matter how much I try to have my own bubble and have my own world with my friends and stuff, but it's hard. Like that, your family is there, and so yeah. Every time I would do psychedelics, I would be fine for a while, and then things get to me after a certain point. So when I came here, the environment provided me some space from me, my emotions, and others. Every time, because in the US, the big difference is that every time nobody is in your space. No, not US, sorry, like California, San Francisco. Because when people, we
Right. Some other
Europeans,
parts of the U.S. might be a little different.
yes, we from the Europe, we say Americans. There's no such a thing as American,
Right.
There's like Californian, New Yorkan, like person from Florida. So yeah, San Francisco here, people they just have this sense of respect for other people's spaces. So that allowed me just to
Every time,
relax, But if you were to ask me about the most meaningful psychedelic journey, for sure, that was my ayahuasca experience in Brazil, and I was called to by ayahuasca, and I can tell you the story behind how I perceived I was called.
Please, yeah, would love to. How did you first hearing about ayahuasca from mushrooms, and tell me about this journey you were called to.
every time,
So it was like 8 years ago, something like that, even more. 9 years ago. On one of my travels, I was in Brazil, in a village somewhere in the middle of Brazil, nowhere. And I came there by like by pure accident. Anyways, I was there, and
every time,
I was just helping. I was just helping locals do their work. It was like 50 people village.
every
And
time,
I was helping them during the day. They gave me a free accommodation and food, and in the evening I would go and in the afternoons I would go and meditate next to waterfalls. And all the time when I meditated, I had these three things coming to my mind space. It was source of all energy, source of all matter, and connection between those two.
every time,
And those three things kept coming back. And the way I meditate is by Vipassana. And with Vipassana meditation, you need to let go of everything and just go
every time,
further. I couldn't let go of these three things. Like for 2 weeks, every day they would come back. And I was like, okay, putting this in a shelf, I will use it for later. And then I met a guy over there, a French guy, and I told him, okay, we were talking about what is our next thing, and we said, okay, let's travel Brazil, like even with a coin. When we see two buses with
every
coin,
time,
okay, let's go with this bus. Or if we see automobile going by, and I was like, okay, let's stop this car. And then if we would see the roads going left and right, we would go like with this. We didn't look at the map. We didn't have end destination. So we did it for 16 hours, and we ended up
every time,
from the middle of Brazil to the coast. It was 10 p.m. and I was like, okay, let me look at the map. And I looked at the map, and there was like an island over there. And I said, okay, there is this
every
boat.
time,
Let's go to this island. It's gonna be fun. We went there for like a week and something. We were just roaming the island, living in a hostel. It was so fun.
every
And
time,
one day we got high.
every
Of
time,
course, like in a hostel with cannabis, and I came to this idea. Okay, you're a designer. Can you draw these three things? And I explained him. I drew how I represented it. I want to tattoo this on my leg, and he did it like in 10 minutes. I found first. I googled tattoo shop, the closest one. There was two on the island, I think. And I'm like, let's go there. I didn't check. Aren't they like, I didn't check the reviews. I didn't, I would do so many things differently currently with this like mindset. But back then I was just reckless,
every time,
20-year-old. Anyways, I took this image and I like took this map and being high, I was just walking, to the tattoo shop. I entered, I saw the guy. I'm like, can you tattoo this on my leg? That I would like, the thing that I saw in my meditation. And he told me, it was Monday, and he told me, do you know what ayahuasca is? And I was like, 1 week ago, I sent a message to my best friend in Serbia saying, listen, I'm here in Brazil. Everybody's talking about ayahuasca. I know it's a ritual. I'm not quite sure like what's happening, but it must be something interesting. We need to go. like 1 week before that, I sent this message to my best friend. And a week after that, the guy is asking me about, do I know about ayahuasca? And I'm like, why do you ask that? And he said, well, you're drawing, that's it. We have here in this island, we have a yearly,
every
or
time
twice a year, something like that, but it's very rare. Yearly ayahuasca gathering, and I think this is your calling if you would like to attend, and it's only Brazilians there. They're not tourists. So he said, but I cannot invite you. I need to call shaman to take a look at you, and like he needs to approve. And I'm like, yes.
every
I didn't
time
do my research. I'm like, yes, let's do it. A guy from a tattoo shop asked me to do ayahuasca. Yes, let's do it. And I stayed there. He drew a tattoo on my leg, and then shaman came.
Meeting
In the
with the
meantime,
shaman.
he went.
every time
Yeah, shaman came, and while I was there, I was waiting for an hour after the tattoo and everything. Shaman came, and they gave me this paper in Portuguese to sign. First before even starting to talk about it. I was like, I don't understand anything. It's fine. They could have, asked me like, do you want to donate your organs? And
Right.
I was so stupid.
Letting the universe decide.
every time
As I said, like there were some higher forces taking care of me, because all of those things sound so stupid, and I would not recommend it to anybody. Please do your research before. This is just one experience. It could have gone so badly, by the way. So please, I'm saying this just as a curious story, but like I don't want to encourage anybody to do what I did. Anyways, shaman came. He looked at me. He was speaking in Portuguese to this guy. He was translating, and we were back and forth. The guy was just scanning me from head to toe, like scanning. And he just nodded and went. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. And it was ayahuasca in the framework of Sagrado Diamante. I think I got it right. There is like a religious context to it. And that's they created that to be able to do ayahuasca legally. So in Brazil. So he told me, okay, that's it. I'm coming to pick you up Saturday evening. Wear white.
every time
Eat this. Don't need this. And I'm like, fine. He came Saturday evening, 8 p.m., wearing all white. And he's a big guy with a big belly, with a beard, like on these loud motorbikes. How do you call them? I don't know. Like
moped?
that makes a lot of noise. No, it's like it was the one that makes a lot of noise, with the rockers and, like.
Oh, jeez.
Anyways, it was like he looked so intimidating back then, but I was like, I trust this guy, and my intuition led me to going 70 countries on my own. So I was like, okay,
every time
now it's gonna lead me to the right thing. He came, he picked me up 8 p.m. So it was like in the evening. It was everything. Now when I talk about it, I'm like, why did I do these things? Anyways, and he was driving. We were in the coast, and he was driving in the middle of the island. There was like a house, and behind the house there was a huge yard with a waterfall, and some kind of jungle-like vibe experience. Beautiful trees, and only Brazilians were there, as I said, and one pregnant lady. There was a lady who was actually like 8 months pregnant, and I'm like, she's gonna do the same as I am. Like, I'm gonna be fine. If a pregnant woman can do it, I can do it.
Right.
So, yeah. So I paid $5. By the way, a lot of people pay thousands of dollars to go through their ayahuasca experiences, and from having these visuals in my meditation to having a coin, not knowing where I'm going, to going to an island, to randomly finding a studio for tattooing, showing my meditation drawing, and he telling me, okay, this is your ayahuasca invite because this looks like it. I think that I perceived it later as some kind of calling, because it couldn't have been planned if, I didn't even know what ayahuasca is at the time, by the way. So when you have this kind of profound feeling that you were called, somehow it emphasized the whole experience, I would say. Anyways,
Absolutely.
I was there, paid $5, and they say this $5 is for the shaman because he went to Amazon to take the wine and came back and brewed it. And everybody brought something to eat after the. It was very beautiful. I met all the people. I was a bit, like, what am I doing here? But like, I'm in the right place. I was just roaming around. And then they told me, sit down. Here they gave me a spot. It was like an outer circle of us, like regular people, and then inner circle of elders. And there were like 10 of them, around 10 of them. It was in total 30 people on the experience. And inner circle of elders, they had these instruments, and the shaman was standing and sitting next to them. So they gave me a book with Portuguese songs, and I'm like, okay, just, you will manage. And I was like singing these songs in Portuguese and like trying to figure out where we are at the beginning, And then we had a first cup, and he said, I said, how much should I take? Should I take all four? 4 cups were served that night. Like, should I take all? I don't know, like the dosage. He said, you will know. Once you drink, Ayahuasca will tell you everything. And I'm like, okay. I sit down, I take first cup, and all of a sudden, and the pregnant lady as well, I was looking at her like, okay, she took it. We drink from the same cup. It's fine. I'm going to be fine. And after first cup, things started to, go up and down in my stomach. And of course, I had this like puking urge. And all of a sudden, actually, why the puking experience was really bad, because it started to hit me really intense, really fast. And I was looking at other people, they are just like normal. It wasn't the same for everybody. The guy who was sitting next to me, he was just like looking at me, he was normal. And for me, I felt like this big ray of energy going into my belly. And it was so intense, like somebody would put a pillar there, and it made me bend over like this, because this ray that was entering into my stomach, it was white, pure light. And then the ray that was exiting me went through my hands and my head like this. It went into circle. The ray that was exiting, it was white and it had black balls on it. Like, I perceived it at the time that the medicine is trying to clean me so that I can move on, I can have the full experience. So I perceived that as cleaning. After it cleaned me energetically, I puked a lot. So it was like physical and energetical cleaning. And then the time came for the second one. When the second cup came, I came back to my spot, and I just said to myself, just let yourself go and do whatever the medicine requires you to do. And once I said that, my hands started to be like this, and I could feel on my hands like the energy coming from them and from here. So it was like a triangle. A triangle was created of, they were communicating energetically, these 3 things, 3 dots. And I was just standing like this and trying to navigate the journey that was happening, like the mushroom-like experience, mandalas, and I was just traveling and things were happening and it was very wild. And after a while, after like maybe half hour or so, I was out of this realm and I was into what I perceived to be into the cosmos. Like everything was black and I was surrounded by planets everywhere, left and right. And I was like just floating, and I was still moving and floating. I'm like, I would ask a question in that state and I would know the answer instantly. It was very weird. For example, I would ask a question. I was just floating. I was like, where should I go? All of a sudden, some tiny little energetic balls would come out of nowhere, and they would create a circle saying telepathically, go here. They were like answers for everything. And I was okay. I go through the circle they created, and then there was a tunnel that I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and just followed the light. Back then, I didn't try to make sense of my experience. I would just let myself go. So when I came to the light, I perceived that there was like a thin line in between this tunnel and what is out there. And when I came to this thin line, I wanted to go further, but there were some beings waiting for me on the other side. So they were in this formation like this, standing. There was like one light being. It was like a human-shaped form, but only light. And there were many of them next to each other, and they were all one. They were like next to each other. There was like but they were all one being, but communicating with one a set of thoughts, but they were many. And they told me not to go further. They came here so that I don't need to go anywhere else, because it was like, who knows, will you be able to come back? That was like the thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And while that was happening, I was shaking like this, by the way. I was shaking like this, and nobody did that. Like, everybody around me were looking at me like, is she okay? The guy next to me, he was just sitting like and drinking his water, like, are you okay? Seriously, like I could see in his face, he was judging me, by the way, even though he drank ayahuasca. He was judging me a bit because he was like, is she pretending? Is she okay? Anyways, elders came to me, shaman came to me. They took some feathers and started to touch me everywhere. And other elder started to play some sounds because they wanted to make sure that I know where my body is, not to break the connection between these two. I think they were really good. They knew what they were doing. I'm really not sure what would have happened then if they were not there. They were holding the space so well. And they were with me. Like 3 of them were standing next to me throughout this whole journey, and I wasn't alone. They supported me. They didn't stop it. They were just like, let's just be there for her and let's touch her so that she knows that she exists in a body experience as well, not only a spirit. Anyways, I went through this. I dipped my toes into the other side. Currently, I would perceive that those beings were souls that are actually a part of ultimate consciousness, supreme consciousness, God, as some religions call it. So whatever it was, I'm not smart enough to explain nor understand. Was that only in my head? Was that only my perception, or that really happened? But it felt the most real experiences of, like, it was the most real experiences of my life. It felt like I was remembering where I came from, something like that. And I was there dipping my toes, and the triangle that I mentioned, when I went through the wall, the triangle that I mentioned just did this. It made me do this, like it became one dot, like the energy became one dot. And I started to do this. By the way, before that experience, I was not religious. I was not as spiritual. I was just, even though I had psychedelic experiences, I was like, yes, interesting. This is in my head, blah, blah, blah. But then I would just do like a prayer. And I basically, I was like 20 something, and I started to have negative feelings towards the church and prayers and all these things. I was still uneducated, that not to go into that. Anyways, I would do this, and for 1 hour, I was just doing this and saying, thank you, thank you. thank you for everything. It felt like I was there in that point of time as a representative of us, like the humankind, and they were showing to me all the beautiful things. And what I perceived to have lasted like 1 hour, they were giving to me, like they give me something with telepathy, like the images and the concepts, and I would give them thank you. They would give me a thank you. And every time they give me something, I would just thank them like this for 1 hour. And then the next hour, they said, okay, now the duality of things, let me show you also the bad side of all of that. And then it started for 1 hour. They're giving me wars and this and that. And then I started to cry and I was saying, I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix it. We are gonna fix it. I'm sorry. So basically, if I were to translate, I promise to God that I will fix whatever we did wrong. That's not the case, and I don't think I'm capable of doing that. And also, when I said we are gonna fix it, I'm not sure if we are also capable of fixing, or should we fix it anyways. I just had this need to tell them that I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, when I reflect on this experience, they didn't judge. They didn't need my sorry. They just wanted to show me. They just wanted to show the existence, good and bad. They didn't, it was my conditioning back then that needed to say, I'm sorry. They were not like a mother. Why did you do this? They were like, just look, just see. That was it. Like, just see. And I know that now. So after they showed me all of these things, and it was like the manifestation of showing me, it was wild. It was nothing like, it was not AR, VR. I was those things. I was inside of them. I felt their atoms. I was just all immersed. I could go, for example, when they show me a sequence of historical events, we were in this like cosmos space, they would make it as like points in history, they would make it as a sheets of paper, but every time I would look in a different sheet, I could see a video happening. So it was like all encompassing, immersing, those kind of things. I think psychedelic people should write movies for sure, because those kind of ideas are just wild. If somebody would tell me, I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. But I've lived through them. So now when everybody tells me a crazy experience, I'm like, I believe you. So yeah, after thank you and I'm sorry for 2 hours. And after shamans understood that I'll be fine, they went to their spot. I started coming down. I just the thing is, what I'm very grateful for is I didn't question anything. I didn't try to make sense of it. And that was the benefits of being ignorant, Now I would question so many things. I would think, what about this? What about that? Did I do this? Back then, when I was ignorant about those things, it made me be present in the moment and just participate 100% in the experience and just be fully immersed. And so by allowing me to be that present, it made a profound impact. And I feel that I have gained so much from this ayahuasca experience to this day, and I'm not even kidding. To this day, I'm unpacking stuff that I got. From time to time, I would just remember something and, oh yeah, I saw this in my ayahuasca journey. It's like they gave me a suitcase of things And they told me, open this up when you come here, and unwrap this gift when your birthday comes. So I'm still to this day unwrapping it, and I haven't had ayahuasca trip after that. That was the only one. And the thing is, I don't want to, there are people out there who did like 100 ayahuasca journeys. And I'm not judging. It's okay. Everybody should do what they think it's best. But for me, it was one trip was just enough to get what I needed, hang up the phone, and just unpack. To this day, after 8-9 years, I'm still unpacking. Yeah, this was a handful.
That was awesome. It's wonderful to hear not only the healing power, but it really sounds like you let the universe decide what brought you there. And now, as you said, you have your suitcase to unpack when you get those, when you're ready to reflect your journey that happened.
Yeah.
What was the post integration wellness period like after that? Was that that was a one-night ceremony? There was no days there?
No, one night. And if they were to tell me there is a second night when I would drink this, I'll say, hell no. Because back then, like, it was so intense. Like, I don't know if I could be able to do it the second night. It wouldn't have the same experience though, but still, no, the second night was just me roaming around the island and trying to make sense of what happened, just existing. And the thing is, post ayahuasca experience, specifically my experience, was pretty rough coming back to Serbia, by the way. Can you imagine at one point you are talking to what you perceive later to be God, and the second thing you are in Serbia where they treat you as a druggie if you even smoke cannabis, So it was very hard to fit back in. And back then, nobody knew what ayahuasca was in Serbia. Now they have some ceremonies, like underground ceremonies for this specific type of people. They bring the medicine over there and they do it, but like for 20 people, a few times per year maybe. But back then, everybody was looking at me like I was I was telling them that I've gone crazy, and I was feeling rejected by so many people. I lost so many people along the way because I was trying to tell them about my experience. It was so overwhelming to keep for myself. I was trying to tell them, but they were not receptive. They were not receptive to hearing it. So yeah, it was pretty rough for a year. Me integrating back into my business life, and like I needed to dress up and go on a meeting and sell something. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? It was pretty rough for 1 or 2 years. It was really rough. After that, I just started to intentionally integrate it, like in therapy, mainly therapy, then journaling, then meditation. I need to integrate, that's the key. Let me do it. And then started to unpack one step at a time.
Beautiful. I really think a lot of people would benefit from hearing this story, and if they're curious.
Yeah, for sure.
Medicine is calling to them. Here's how we can, do this right. I'm excited to hear your thoughts, from that first journey, that first medicine experience to now where the psychedelic quote industry is at in San Francisco and California, kind of spreading across the US. Where do you see us evolving, and how do we properly respect, the emergence of the capitalism and the indigenous, traditions that are needed for this medicine?
Oh, there are a few questions out there that you just, and they all require some time, but I will just try to be as fast as possible. So currently, the psychedelic medicine here in San Francisco is pretty, and psychedelic ecosystem. I really avoid calling it an industry because there is no money, to be called an industry, it needs to have money flowing undisturbedly, Now we are just like, there is underground market and there is these pharma companies, they get money and that's it, it's pretty, some conferences, but there is no money there, like free flowing. Anyways, psychedelic ecosystem currently is flourishing in terms of that. What I have seen in the past few years in SF is that more people who are who were trapped in this like corporate environment, and they are into psychedelics, they're more open to switching. But what they find on the other side, so they would quit their jobs and they would start something in the psychedelic industry, for example, trying to be psychedelic guides, underground guides, or work for Ketamine Link or whatever. The thing I hear the most is like, okay, I need to go back to my corporate job because there is not enough money here, even in SF. So if you want to live full time out of it, you need to either be like people who are long present in this ecosystem. They would have some money, but really the money is a big issue. Even I talked to many investors. They said, yeah, we have some kind of budget for investing, but it's so low. For example, they would have $10 million to invest in pharma companies for emerging psychedelic new substances. And then they would have 50,000. Then they would have 10 million for other companies, and then 50,000 for emerging psychedelic compounds. And I'm like, but that's nothing compared to 10 million, Well, we need to be careful, That's what I got from investors. So it's still, the industry is being created. And I invite everybody out there who can be patient and who think that it's their calling to be a part of psychedelic industry. Start something next to your corporate job or whatever job you have. Start something next to it. You don't need to quit your job. You need to eat bread and live safely. So just start something. Is it like I started a podcast? I created a conference. I created a course. I did this resource list. So whatever you think. So go to other industries and see what they did to cannabis industry. Like copy something even that we will need in the psychedelic space, and just do it next to your full-time job and see where it takes you. You can first contribute. Second, you can maybe create good grounds for your career afterwards. You know that in the US, MDMA is about to be rescheduled. Let's hopefully this year. I expect psilocybin to happen in the next 5 nationwide. So this is the current state of things. And what else did you ask me about? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Just wanted that was great insights into the industry and kind of how do we, how do you think we best balance the capitalism that's ingrained in us Americans and the traditional, respect that needs to come with these medicines. It's not alcohol. We're not partying with this every weekend.
Yeah, I mean that thing is actually a big problem, and I invite everybody to go to Chacruna website. There is an organization called Chacruna, and a wonderful woman from Brazil, Bia Labache. She founded this organization, and now the conference was happening. It's happening currently, I think, in San Francisco, called Psychedelic Culture, and there are some indigenous people out there. So her organization is all about respecting indigenous roots, understanding where psychedelic experiences come from. How can we respect these elders and their wisdom, and how can we engrave it into our everyday lives? So I invite everybody to, if you don't want to do the research, at least follow them on Instagram, and things will pop up, and you will understand many things from there. They do amazing work with respecting the indigenous population, and how we do it. We would before every conference, we would acknowledge on which land that we are currently standing on. It's called the Yalamu people in San Francisco, specific area where we are. We would acknowledge them, what they did, how they do it, when they did it, and that's the least we can do, to name them, to bring them to this point of time and acknowledge them that they existed and thank them.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing with me today. I really appreciate it here with your ayahuasca journey. I haven't been called to the medicine yet, but hearing your experience, it sounds like something I will eventually be called to participate in. Where can people follow you? Where can they get access to the psychedelic directory, and what exciting things you have upcoming in the next few months?
So you can follow me on my Instagram. Kyle, if you can put in the description some links I will share with you, that would be great.
Of course.
So either psilocybin SF or Bizdelics. If you are more general public and you want to know more about psilocybin use and harm reduction, we have speakers from MAPS, from Zendo, from all the big names gathered to talk about important topics. We have a conference with psilocybin SF coming on in November 9-10. It's going to be an online conference, 2 days. We will talk about 2 very important topics that our community came to us with, by the way. We function based on feedback. So we asked our community, what do you want to hear on the next conference? And this is what they said. They want to know more about personalized psilocybin and legal access. So this is what we did. First day, we'll talk about psilocybin for depression, anxiety, OCD, end-of-life distress, addiction, all of these things. Also, not only mental health things, but we will talk about psilocybin for recreational purpose and psilocybin for consciousness evolution. Very important, because today we're only focusing about mental health issues. It's the easiest way to push narrative about psychedelics. But these things are actually, I use it for consciousness evolution. I want to hear more about what are the tools? How can I do it? How can I do it with psilocybin? And the second day, we will talk about how can you try psilocybin legally for those who are afraid to do it at home on their own or with a sitter friend. So we'll talk about psilocybin-assisted therapy, psilocybin-assisted services in Oregon. We'll talk about churches. We will talk about studies. How can you access studies? And we will talk about legal landscape. Where in the world is legal? Where is decriminalized? What does that mean? We will have Graham from SF, a lawyer in psychedelic industry. He will come and explain all the legal landscapes. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, psilocybinsf.com is the website. And if you are in the psychedelic industry or you want to become, bizdelics.com is the website.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you very much for the invite.